Today, once again, many will feel a painful sense of separation from their loved ones. While we have faced challenges before, this one is different. We will succeed. Better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again. But for now, I send my thanks and warmest good wishes to you all.
Welcome to the DAWG Show. This week's Off the Leash DAWG Cast will debate lockdown, featuring myself, Tank, here in Germany, Dog Meat all the way from the United States of America, and the little British fuzzball, the Baron. So why don't we kick things off? Guys, are you still alive?
Yeah, just about. Yeah, enjoying lockdown now. Took some time to get used to. How about yourself, Dog Meat?
Lockdown's been depressing. Not being able to go out, not being able to have some beers, not being able to see family, with the restrictions on certain flights. It's been depressing. And then obviously no sports as well, so I get to see you guys, so I see you guys on FaceTime and Zoom and all of that. That's one consolation.
Mate, I'm loving it. At the end of the day, we're getting paid. Basically, my life didn't change. I was never going to the clubs or anything in recent years, or to bars or whatever, so.
Or to the gym.
Now we just got an excuse to be lazy fucking couch potatoes.
True.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed it recently, but not in the beginning, just because I'm quite a sociable character. I like to go out, at least to buy my coffee. So yeah, it's been difficult, but also you start appreciating the simple things as well a lot more.
Yeah, there's been some small consolations. Getting up a little later, going on Zoom calls in your boxers, not putting the video on, getting a bit lazy, get out of your routine and you get a little bit bored. I found it a little bit boring after week 4. But yeah, working for the same pay, working half as hard, that was pretty nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies are doing this, right? So I know in the UK you've got furlough scheme where the government are paying about 80% of people's wages. In Germany, we have a system where it's more like part-time working. So the government basically tops up part of your pay and you only have to do half your hours. So that's quite the common one, which is enrolled in Germany. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
They can't really get rid of you and things like that. Your job is very well protected in Germany with EU law. And Germany is really kind of leading that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, I know from an American standpoint, I think I read an article where there was 24 million jobs lost with the pandemic or something like that, which is an absurd amount of money. I know the government wrote everyone a check to help, which was only $1,200. I didn't get one because I'm not a citizen yet, but yeah, I'm sure there's some really, really tough things going on for the small businesses out there. So we hope they're pulling through.
Yeah, it's good to see that the Baron is still pulling through. We nearly lost you there for a minute, right? There was a day where we had a bit of a search for the Baron. He went he went missing for 24 hours in Corona times. Got us all worked out.
Yeah, the phone lost its battery. Yeah, I had to go online and try and figure out if there's any way to sort it out, and yeah, just basically put it on the radiator for a bit, heated up the battery, and it started working. The iPhone has a lithium battery, and it sometimes gets a bit cold, so you gotta heat it up, hairdryer or central heating. It did the job. But yeah, I'm back, just like my battery.
Did you get worried at any point that if no one heard of you for 24 hours they would get worried, or did you it was okay, no one would worry for you?
I wasn't that concerned.
Yeah, really. We know he wasn't concerned.
I just ended up.
Did you think anyone else was concerned, like your parents, your sisters?
No.
We all know the Baron's schedule very well. He's always up from 2 p.m. until about 4 a.m. And not 10 minutes goes by without a message normally. He's very, very vocal. As he said, he likes to be social. So when we did hear from him for 24 hours, we came up with a few ingenious solutions to try and find out if he was alive. Yeah. My first one was to send some fried chicken around the house.
All these years, I thought I liked chicken because it was delicious. Turns out I'm genetically predisposed to liking chicken. I said, what? I got no say in the matter.
That normally gets his attention, so we tried that one out. How'd that go, Baron?
Yeah, I was unaware of all the emails that I was getting and all the Skype messages. So because I was just watching more anime, I'm getting into that at the moment. So it gave me enough time to watch my anime and ignore any messages. But I like to go on WhatsApp and always have something to say. But yeah, it gave me a little time away from my phone. So there was a guy buzzing the flat and asking for a tank. Here's your fried chicken. And I said, no, it's not my fried chicken. I didn't order any fried chicken. And he said, this is for Tank. I was like, sorry, there's no Tank living here. And he said, well, it's for flat 4. I go, that's my place. Then it dawned upon me, oh yeah, that's Tank from Germany.
So what was your reaction when you received anonymous chicken from Tank? Did you not seem to think like that might be some kind of message or a hidden message in that? Or
to be honest, I was quite hungry at that moment, so I decided to bite on my wing. But Tej came over.
Yeah, Tej.
I think he was sent, wasn't he?
We dispatched him, Private Ryan.
And he basically said, "Oh, thank God you're alive." And I was like, well, "What's going on, man?" And I just fucking biting into my fried chicken, and I was like, well, "What's the concern, man?" And he said, "We were all worried about you. Tank hasn't stopped messaging the boys group about you." And I was like, "Oh, really? Shit." And then he said, "Let's call him on my phone." But that was great. That was great. The fried chicken was nice. I understand that around this period it's a bit of a concern if you don't message. During lockdown, people are a bit more worried and a bit more concerned, so it's always nice to feel loved.
Okay, so now you know, if fried chicken turns at the door, you gotta go message Tank.
Oh, definitely, 100%. And also check my Skype, Hotmail messages and other platforms.
Facebook.
Yeah, there's too many platforms to keep up to date with, but check them a bit more regularly.
Different level that was from Tank. Dispatching troops to find you, dispatching food. That's why he's the Tank.
That's it. He's always got his aid there.
Got my what?
I thought he said AIDS.
Yeah,
aid. Your aid? Food aid? Christmas.
I need to go get myself checked out. Talking about getting checked out. Yeah, so obviously there's a few concerns everyone's at the moment. I had a bit of a corona cough going on for a little while, and it lasted for a very long time. So even to this day, I've still got a little bit of a throat problem. So I went to see the doctors, and yeah, basically his response was, yeah, it's life. People have coughs. Get on with it. Stop being worried. Stop being a pussy. So yeah, that was fun. Obviously, people are very tense at this sort of moment in time as well. So my reaction to being dismissed after I'm telling him, I've had this going on for about 6 months now. I wasn't aggressive or anything, but I was just, a bit forthright, questioning his judgment or something. And yeah, in the end, he asked me to leave. So as I was leaving, I went to close the door behind me. No problem. Fine. I'll go see another doctor. And I went to close the door behind me, and he was like, you closing the door in my face. So yeah, that was a bit of a event. And I got banned from the doctors now, so I have to go find a new doctor. Yeah, bit of a tense time. Everyone's agitated, on their toes a little bit. But yeah, I'm doing okay.
I had a bit of a scare actually too. I actually went to London to go see some family in the middle of February, and when I came back 5 days later, I had this really, really, really bad cough, and it was one that just wouldn't go away. And I was sent to sleep on the sofa from the missus, but the cough was so bad. I think I had a sore throat for about 3 or 4 days, and I'll try and do Zoom calls, and everyone's like, "What are you saying? What are you saying?" I couldn't understand what I'm saying. So I had one of those deep, sexy voices.
You still got it.
Like Batman.
But on me.
But yeah, I was out for 10 days, and I think on the 7th or 8th day, after being highly drugged up with cough syrup and or whatever I could get my hands on in the cupboard, I went and got checked out in the hospital and all that. They made you answer a sort of a questionnaire before you got in the hospital. And as soon as I said I'd travelled recently, they put me in my own little special terrorist room to go get questioned and swabbed and all that sort of stuff. And everyone looked at you a little bit differently because you went into this little special room. But thankfully I didn't test for it. But back in those early days, I'm not sure if they had a specific test, but they x-rayed my chest, swabbed me, took my blood, all that sort of stuff.
Oh wow, so quite thorough then.
Yeah, I think they were doing everything, testing me. They wanted some of my blood, didn't it? My healthy blood. But yeah, I was in the hospital for about 5 hours.
How does that work in the US? You have like full coverage, or
yeah? So I've got health insurance with my work. Obviously, there's some sort of small deductible, but yeah, it's mad. Obviously, coming from the NHS, you're kind of like, okay, they're doing more and more tests, so that could then hurt you in the pocket at some stage. X-rays and small stuff like that could be up to $2,000-$3,000, and in the end, honestly, they were stalling me there for 5 hours. I just walked out after because I was sick of it. After them telling me to self-isolate for 14 days again. So at that stage, our work was still going on. I was going to miss some games, and then thankfully I didn't because everything went on lockdown. The world went on lockdown after that. But yeah, I think I'm corona-free now though.
I just seem to have a persistent sort of irritated throat. I think it's more like the after damage of having corona, so I think it's definitely cleared out of my system, but just the damage it left behind. I think this is going to be a bigger issue in the longer term. Once we've got on top of this and everyone's vaccinated and everything, I think that life expectancy will drop where this virus is damaging your internal organs.
So you legit think you had it?
Yeah, I've never had anything like it in my life, and I've never ever heard of anybody having throat issues for 6 months, like just from having a flu or something.
Yeah, you were traveling at that time.
Yeah.
Probably the worst time to ever travel.
Yeah. I work in the aviation business, and so my job does have me going from place to place a little bit. Yeah.
Pandemic war.
Yeah, well, I mean, it didn't really help, right, with a lot of political leaders like saying that this was nothing to worry about and this would just pass and this wouldn't affect people. Yeah. I think that caused basically society to act months too late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now it's just basically damage limitation, right? Like just trying to control the full extent.
And also the fact that lockdown, like you said, it came a month or a couple of months too late. Yeah. It's just crazy but also now, like how much they're scaring you as well, the media.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in what you've got to say, Dolby, particularly about, living under Donald Trump's regime.
But we have it so well under control. I mean, view this the same as the flu. When somebody sneezes, I try and bail out as much as possible.
What have you made of his general stance on the whole thing and how he's handled the situation?
Well, you said it earlier, right? I think he was one of the leaders that dismissed the pandemic from the off. So naturally, America and how big it is as a country reacting, I would say 2 months, maybe a month and a bit too late. I know Germany were quite proactive with it, hence why they're doing a lot more things. The Bundesliga, the football's back up and running there.
Yeah.
But right. But the US were very, very slow to react. And the thing was, Donald left it up to the governors of each state to decide, when they were going to sort of lock down things, how they were going to do it, to what extent. And then I think similarly, he's left it up to them to when to reopen. Phase 1 is these types of business. Phase 2, phase 3 are these types of businesses. But for me, it was far too slow. He was very, very dismissive of it. Wasn't going to come to the States, this, that, and the other. And I think the US has the highest death toll right now, right?
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
But the UK has obviously also got very bad numbers at this stage as well. I think a few days ago I read that it had more cases than the rest of the whole of the EU, so it's also struggling to contain it. But I mean, like, especially from the UK standpoint, I remember one of the main things is, until basically a couple of days ago, so we're in June now, you could still fly as you liked without any quarantine measures in the UK. So from all over the world, you could still enter the UK right up until I believe it was the 8th of June.
Yeah, that's a joke.
And
Absolute
London airports obviously being the busiest in the world as well, the busiest city for airports in the world. So, and it's a very small country at the end of the day, and still has the biggest influx of people around the whole world. So I think it was always going to be one of the epicenters of the virus. So how are you coping, Baron, in lockdown?
How am I coping? Yeah, like I said, it was a difficult start to adjusting, especially because of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it very difficult to concentrate at home as well. Being a bit distracted.
Sure.
And I prefer like having people face to face, and like in an office environment I work a lot more proactively or productively, I should say. But also it depends what I'm doing as well, like in terms of like work. But this kind of work requires a lot of attention because it's auditing thousands and thousands of numbers, and you got to like input them into an orderly fashion and make sure everything's correct.
Okay, you don't feel like you're being as productive with other things? Did you find any little projects or anything to work on? Or maybe your regime, like in terms of looking after yourself, maybe your fitness? How have you spent your time? So you've got a bit more time.
Yeah, so just going back to work, in terms of working in that environment was a bit difficult to like get the best out of me in that regards. But in other things like sketching or blogging or reading, I'm being more active in those things. And also cooking's been a really interesting thing at the moment, because going to the supermarket, especially the first month of lockdown, you couldn't find exactly what you wanted, because it was quite like you went there was no potatoes, you went there was no bread, so you kind of had to adjust. So I brought ingredients that I never used to buy in the beginning, but I end up liking a lot more and using it a lot more now.
So it made you a lot more experimental.
Exactly, a lot more experimental and a lot more improved in my culinary abilities. I've learned a lot more new dishes. That's one of the things I've enjoyed about lockdown, being able to cook properly and using more ingredients. Also dating.
Yeah. How is the dating life going? How is dating in lockdown?
Dating lockdown, there's obviously a lot more people using the app. Tell about the amount of matches. When I say matches, in terms of like people that I like off the cuff, like the way they look or just looking at the profile, there's a lot more numbers now.
Okay.
So there's probably the girls that wouldn't have, applies to guys as well, probably they wouldn't have used Tinder before lockdown.
Okay.
It's not like every single person is using, online platforms or apps. But I think that a lot more people are using it because of lockdown as well. Because people are bored at the moment. They want someone to talk to. So that gives a chance to talk to them. So in that regards, it's been good. But also, I kind of have been a bit lazier in terms of like using the dating app. Where before I would message them a lot more sooner, or like in terms of my matches, I would like put a lot more effort in. But I think even if I get a match or I'm messaging them one day, I'm like not messaging them for next week. I don't know why. Kind of like I'm doing that a lot more now. I've got the dating apps, I'm using it, but I'm not being as productive as I would be if it wasn't for lockdown.
You trying to play hard to get?
No, I just think that like the effort of writing a message is a lot more difficult during lockdown.
Do you think it has something to do with feeling like this isn't actually going anywhere? That it won't ever end in a meet because you won't be able to meet up with people for several months?
It could be. That's true. That's true. That plays a part, but I don't think that's the main reason. I think another reason could be because like when you're in lockdown, you're in a rut. Like my life isn't amazing at the moment, like as it would be if it wasn't for lockdown. The messages are probably emphasized by the mental well-being of being in a lockdown than it would be otherwise. There is like the fact that we don't know when we can go out and date, and also the fact that I just don't know what to say. Like I can't talk about my work being amazing or like something happened amazing in my day to day. It just seems like it's not changing.
I found it hilarious. The UK government actually put a sex ban in place, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Meaning they can spend time together inside each other.
Yeah, that happened in Netherlands. They said that you can go out and have sex with one person and only that person in the pandemic.
Oh, okay. So this was like a new person you could go and have sex with.
Yeah, a new person. So during the pandemic, you can only have sex with that person. So that was quite an interesting one.
You should have put your location in Netherlands on Tinder. Yeah. So it would have been your longest relationship. They would have been stuck with you for the whole of lockdown.
Netherlands were there for a day, but the girls are just too tall. They're too tall. And averagely I think it's like the tallest nation in the world.
Okay, and
definitely
how tall are you?
Top 2. Hey man, come on man, you baiting me out here. I'm 5'7", mate.
5 foot tall, 7 inches long, or what?
7.5. No, sorry, 8.5. I used to say 5'9". Not 5'7".
You put 5'9" on your profiles.
No. Because that's a bit too heroic. I put 5'7". I put 5'7". But even that is like a massive factor.
You're not 5'7".
Even that is like a massive.
You're not 5'7".
I'm not 5'7", but what am I gonna fucking put 5'5"? What? Who am I gonna match? Huh?
It's really strange actually. I remember I'm not the tallest guy in the world either, and what's quite common when you talk to girls, especially the short girls, for some reason they seem to want to be with the tallest guy, the girls that are shortest. So it's like if you're a short guy, no one wants you.
But that's not strictly true. Because
I think
obviously I've been on dates and I've shown.
It's more like the
CV,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. They see
Indian
that and
name,
they skim through it, and it's like that's it,
In the biz.
Exactly.
Straight in the biz.
It doesn't bother some women though. Some taller women.
No,
it doesn't bother some of them
the
though.
The fact is that the thing is
they're
exactly
minority.
The numbers are going to be less and less and less and less, and I don't want to have 5 to play with rather than 20. The thing is, the numbers would be even less if I was to put the real height, but I do confess, and sometimes they when they see me, they're like, oh yeah, you're not 5'7", are you? And I'm like, nah, but I'm fucking sexy. And the thing is, they still go on a date with me, they still kiss me, knowing that my height ain't 5'7", so forget about the height,
And I'm sure they've lied about something too, right, on their profile.
Yeah, exactly. Half the time they say that they're bubbly or they're funny. And it's like
you ain't funny.
It's like, yeah, you ain't funny. You didn't tell me about you being a crazy bitch. The same thing could go for me as well, so I'm not gonna just say those characteristics. That can go for anyone as well. We can all be the best person that we want to be on a profile, right?
So how about you, Dog Meat? I understand that you've been living with the missus.
Yes.
Full time, right?
Yeah.
How's that working out?
It's good, mate. To be honest with you, it's been good. Our days sometimes don't collide. So she was still doing some bits and bobs, going out, going to the office, sort of individually and doing some Zoom calls there. She'd work downstairs, I'd work upstairs. We'd meet for lunch in the kitchen. And yeah, mate, honestly, I couldn't really say too much.
Probably benefited your relationship a lot more, maybe.
I think it has. I think it's brought us a lot closer. We know there's times when we just need to stay away from each other. There's times honestly, I did a lot of cooking. I've put on a couple of pounds around the midriff.
As we all have.
We watched some shows together a little bit more. We're currently watching that Man City documentary. We watched the Sunderland documentary.
Feel about that then? I was actually going to say from the opposite perspective. One of the things from living with my missus is she's making me watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians and stuff.
Oh no.
Damn, you got the short end of the straw.
My missus.
I think you would enjoy that, Baron. I think that's a show for you.
Yeah, Baron would.
Nah, I watched it one episode and I couldn't watch it anymore.
For me. My missus does that, the Housewives of Jersey or the Housewives of Barronville or whatever it was, but yeah, I don't watch that.
Well, it sounds like you still were able to keep a bit of a separate schedule going on, right?
Kind of. There was days that we were in each other's pockets.
Whereas me and my missus, for example, we're completely both working 100% home office. So we're literally around each other 24/7, So it's a bit of a difference. So we have no real option to go and do our own thing. We live in a 1-bedroom apartment. So we got one telly. So whatever the one's watching, the other one's got to watch as well.
That helps. My missus bought me an iPad. and I watch stuff on there, and I've got my laptop, so...
She kicks you into the doghouse.
Yeah. To be honest, the only thing I think she fusses at me is probably sometimes when I'm a little bit messy, I leave a couple of cups in the bedroom. But yeah, other than that, she's been taking care of the washing, which I absolutely hate. I take care of the dishes, and she's done some bits and pieces around the house, put up some paint, some sort of pictures, done some gardening, and yeah, I know I've helped out with cleaning, all of that, so if I help out with cleaning, I get in her good graces, and I'm a good dog meat points. Yeah, some serious dog meat points. I've learned that one. Doing the cleaning when she's gone. Oh mate, I'll tell you what, dog meat gets his treat. He gets his treat. Yeah, he gets his treats, man. I'm telling you. Yeah, man, it's drawn us a lot closer together.
It's interesting you say that. I've heard quite a few people tell me about like their relationships getting a lot more better or firmer, should I say, just because of lockdown.
I think that's only because their wife is standing behind them. They're both trapped in the same apartment.
Like you come back from work, they're both working. It's not exactly that you spend as much time with each other as you are now, right? So a lot of people are probably kind of forced to be spending a lot more time together. So like it kind of gives you an insight on each other, I guess, like on what you do on a day-to-day basis.
I think it will be especially testing for people in sort of newish relationships. So people in the 1 to 2 year stage, I think that they would feel the test. And I think there's probably been a few breakups in lockdown.
Oh, well, talking about that, there's also been an increase in domestic abuse in lockdown as well.
I could believe that.
So that's kind of like, that's another, sort of downside of being in a lockdown relationship.
Being trapped. Yeah.
You
ever felt you've been in a situation where you've been trapped? It sounds like you got a story there to tell us.
No, I mean...
Go on, get it out. What is
trapped? It? What do you mean trapped? I've been trapped in a lift. That was scary. With
the girl?
No, I was alone at that time. I was alone. The worst thing is being trapped in a car and in a lift. Especially when you're claustrophobic, which is even worse, 10 times worse.
How were you trapped in a car?
I was just trapped in a car after an argument with a girl, and she just locked me in the car and and just went off. So
what was the argument about?
I called her another name,
Another female name.
Yeah, I called her by another name by accident. Yeah.
This was your girlfriend at the time?
Never.
Wait, let me hear him trip over himself. Go on.
Nah, I was just saying that you said one of your girls. I don't have lots of girls in one go. I always treat them equally during the time. During the time they're with me.
Okay, so you call her by another girl's name, and how does she react to that?
Yeah, then she just basically just gets out of the car and that's it, and then just locks me in, and I can't get out, and so that's it.
So what kind of like locking device was on the car? Was it the ones where it comes up from the compartment sort of thing and disappears back down when it's locked, or is it one where you can... It's obviously not one where you can flick it open and lock from inside.
The only way I could get out would have been through the boot, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that until she told me. Because it's just basically locked. There's no way you can...
Did she tell you that the only way to get unlocked was through the trunk? So that tells me she's probably done this before.
No comment.
Or she's been locked in there before.
That's true actually. How would you know?
So how did you react once you'd been locked in?
Well, because like I said, I'm claustrophobic, so it doesn't help. It doesn't help. So I would have either smashed the windows or So I was a bit panicky.
So I'm
trying to... Tell us the story.
Yeah, I'm trying to visualize this because I'm like, it's been locked. She walked off. Has she walked off after? Is she outside giving you the middle finger while you're inside locked up?
No, she just walks off.
All right, and then what are you, just like a little puppy in a sad window, just like touching the window, like get me out? Or I mean, I would have just started kicking the window until she unlocked it or something.
Well, I was like punching the windows and punching the windscreen.
Obviously got no power on those punches then.
Did no one see this?
Yeah. Someone saw in the other car. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did they try to help you or?
Yeah, just made sure. I don't know. Just signalled if I'm okay. But she came back after that moment.
Did you think about maybe just pressing the horn all the time to get some attention, or
the horn wasn't working?
She planned that.
She worked that one out previously, right?
Also,
on her last attempt, she worked that one out.
How long was your sentence in the car? 20 minutes?
I can't remember. Yeah, it must have been about 15 minutes, maybe 15-20 minutes. I can't remember. Yeah, something like that.
That was your own special. That was your own special lockdown there, huh?
Yeah, possibly.
So yeah, I think we've all felt a little bit claustrophobic, a little trapped over the past months, and it will be nice once things start to normalize. Now, already some countries are starting to open a little bit more, so we can all start to return a bit more to our more regular lives. Can you tell us, Baron, what have you learned from this experience, from the lockdown? What will you take forward?
I would take forward the fact that I can probably concentrate more on like my hobbies that I have and interests. Yeah, I can start enjoying them a lot more, mixing up with work. So I don't need to worry about fitting it in, and that's the problem, is fitting it into a schedule.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, right? I think there's a few things that I've taken up since lockdown, especially starting up this podcast, for example, and all the work we've put into it, that that I would like to definitely keep on doing going forward, and we will definitely keep on doing those things. I think there's a lot of people over the world who probably started a few new things and that they wish they had started a lot sooner, or they wish they had given their full effort to sooner. So I think that's going to be one of the good things that will come out of this, is people will start to follow maybe a bit more of their dreams and their passions, realize what's important to them, the people they love, and try to be better going forward. So I think that wraps it up for the DAWG Cast. It's been a great show. Thank you from Tank.
I'm thankful for that Baron story, his locked up individual story.
Cheers, thank you.
All right, goodbye everybody. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Deeply embarrassed I am about what has happened this weekend. Been locked indoors for so long, and I obviously just got a call off a friend asking to go around to his, and I stupidly agreed to do so. I know for a fact that I'll be doing that in the near future now, and